So legs up the wall, which you can guess most of the time that I'm going to say that, especially if the vibe is more restorative. For me, this is always my go-to pose. So like I got off work today, I immediately went into 15 minutes of legs up the wall. Before I go to bed every night, 10 minutes of legs up the wall. So if you want, you can have your legs at an angle. So like you can take your legs up a bed or a chair or a couch. If you don't have a wall or closet or door nearby, you can stack up cushions. We basically just want to make sure the feet are above the head. If you want to make this pose even more sort of functional, you can add something under your hips. So if you have a bolster or a pillow, you can use a block. The block is a little bit it's a little bit more firm, so it's not as easy to relax into. But sometimes, like when we come into this complete inversion where the feet, the hips, and the heart are above the head, that's a complete inversion. That's a complete flushing of the lymphatic system that's going upside down. So, and it can even just be a little bit, right? Just like a pillow or something under your hips. It can also be really nice to cover the eyes. Anytime we're in a position for more than a couple minutes where we're on the back and you can cover the eyes, that's really helpful for the nervous system, for our melatonin, and we can start to slow down. So I was just sort of talking about, this practice being our kind of survival guide, our recovery for all of the chaos, and I really think over the next few weeks and the next couple of months, we are going to see a little bit more of that. And, I was talking to my son today because he has a fear of bugs. It's a new fear. It's been around for over a year now, but it's a new fear. And his reactions to it are sometimes very confusing. He thought he saw one when we were in the car, so he like jumps over the driver's seat to not get right. So, and then, obviously, like when you're a parent and your child is jumping at something that is not a threat to you and instead creating a different threat, it's hard. It's hard to stay calm. It's hard to stay relaxed. And so we had this little conversation while we were in the market about how, fears are normal and everybody has them and we all deal with it. But learning how to respond and to sort of calm our reactions is really important. And that's a skill that like I don't expect my 11-year-old to suddenly click into because I'm 41 and I don't always do that. And I know people of all kinds of ages and traditions who, again, when they're in fear, right, like the reaction sometimes escalates it. And that to me is one of the most unsafe things we do as humans. There was an experience where we were outside and he was on a scooter and we saw a bee, and like to get away from the bee, he like almost jumped into traffic. And I had been like, a bee sting, right, is going to be over fast, but being hit by a car, like not so much. Um, and it's hard. It's definitely a hard parenting thing to walk through. And I'm learning a lot about myself and my own reactions and tolerance. But when it comes into this practice, like I know that this practice, the restorative, the nidra, like this is how I learn to sort of reset my nervous system. This is where my nervous system begins to understand the difference between a fear and a threat, right? Because those are very different things. Fears happen all the time. Like it's very easy to walk around with fear, but an actual threat, right? That needs a different response. When we're in a fight or flight or freeze response, which is how our nervous system is wired, like we can't be expected to have a calm reaction. And my teacher Judith Lassiter would talk about like if you're in that fight or flight and there's a rope on the sidewalk, if you think it's a snake, your entire system responds. It doesn't matter that everybody else around you sees a rope, right? Like your body responds. So the practice helps us to kind of slow down that a little bit so we can have that little flash where we can be like, is that a rope or a snake, right? Because when there's an actual threat, it's very important to have a quick response, right? This is what that part of the nervous system is designed for. Last night there was an earthquake, right? And like the alert went off a second before the earthquake happened on my phone. So we were able to like get in the doorway, right? Like really quick. So that's an important response. When there's a threat, we want to be able to do that. But that second before makes such a difference. And for me, this is the practice for that. Whether the fears lead to threats that are real or imagined, this is the practice that begins to soothe our nervous system and gives us that half a second pause that can make the difference, right, between getting in the doorway when you need to, or unfortunately jumping into traffic when you don't need to. Um, and so, can we start to slow down the breath? Can we start to create that sense of safety here and now? So the other side of the nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, is rest and digest. So the whole purpose of this practice is to facilitate movement into rest and digest. And then when the nervous system is in rest and digest, then we begin to send the signals. We can heal, we can process, we can let go. None of that can happen if we're in fight or flight, whether it's real or imagined, the threat in our system. And so going upside down is one of the fastest ways I know to do that, because our wiring in our brain is very primitive. If I'm going upside down willingly, I'm probably not being chased by a tiger, right? Because this would be the silliest movement to do if there was a threat. And then we feel into the breath. The lengthen of the exhale is what slows down the heart rate. It's what moves us more into that parasympathetic nervous system. So when we come into the restorative practice, we place the body safe, comfortable, supported. And then we begin to ease into the breath. And there is a goal that we will get relaxed enough that we don't have to focus on the breath, because we've done it. We've made the shift into parasympathetic. Sometimes it takes the whole class. Sometimes we never quite get there. And other times we're there right away. So there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There's just choosing this response. I'm laying down, my legs are up, my eyes are closed, I'm breathing deeply. And sometimes even that affirmation, that sankalpa, I am safe, I am supported, I am deeply resting, I am healing, right? Whatever the fear is, when we come into the restorative or the nidra, we want the affirmation, the intention to be its opposite. If I'm afraid for my safety, then saying I am safe, right? And when we're saying that while we drop into relaxation, we rewire the brain, right? The brain is a computer. It can be rewired, it can be reset. And so whatever it is, whatever fears are lingering, whatever responses in your body or your mind or your emotions feel escalated or feel intense, right? And I was trying to explain that to my son, where it's like, when your reaction is that much bigger, I do have to catch it, and we have to start to try to rewire that, because it's a safety issue. And as adults, we still have to work with that. Safety is so important. And if we in the moment cannot perceive whether it's a rope or a snake, we need to create more time in these practices and these poses. Because again, that half a second, that time, that alert going off, right before, that's what this practice is. Our recovery, our survival, our thriving, not living in this state of fear, this heightened threat, real or imagined. And so just notice, you've been here for a few minutes now. Feel the body, feel the breath. Give yourself permission to be here. safe, supported, slowing down, surviving, healing, resting, releasing. Our bodies hold all the perceived threats. And as an adult, sometimes we learn to master the freeze response, right? Like we know it's not safe to jump into the driver's seat from the passenger seat, but we freeze. And so to the outer world, it looks like we're not reacting, but inside we are. So even here, we thaw, we soften, we open. Take another big breath in. Let your belly and your heart expand, and just pause at the top just for a moment to lengthen your tailbone into the mat as you pull the breath into the full capacity of the lungs. And then we exhale with an open mouth. And as you exhale again, you feel yourself, your back body settling into the mat. Let that exhale out. Pause at the bottom just for a moment. And then come back to your breath. Let your head gently shift side to side. If the legs are up the wall, you can bring the soles of the feet together, or if you're in any position where it's more comfortable to just bring the knees into the chest. You can also continue to be here. Some of you I know can stay in Viparita Karani for 20-30 minutes. And anytime in this class that you're in the zone, you're in the parasympathetic zone, feel free to stay. Because the longer you can comfortably hold one of these poses in the zone, the better for the nervous system. It's not better to do more poses or less poses. It's really about your experience in it. So if you are shifting out, any little movements, rocking, rolling. The request today was for more of a restorative practice, but that doesn't mean you can't bring in your own little stretches and wiggles and rocks and shakes and shifts. Trusting the intuition in the practice is another part of being in that rest and digest space, because you're moving intuitively rather from, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. We are going to take our time, come to one side. The next pose will be the restorative twist. A lot of you are familiar with that. And again, if you want to do anything before you come into that, a little cat and cow or downward dog, you're welcome to. For this position, I like to use the bolster. You can also use a couple bed pillows or stack up a couple folded blankets. It's also nice to have a blanket or some kind of padding under the knees. Bringing the right leg forward, and you can stack the knees or take the left leg behind. So that bolster is coming right into that right thigh, right hip. Then the spine lifts. And on an exhale, we turn the heart towards the bolster or the pillow, and we keep the length as we come down. And it can be more gentle to look towards the knees, but you can also play with looking away from the knees for a few breaths, a little bit more yin, and you'll get that deeper stretch into the cervical spine. Or just settling here into Bharavajasana, into the twist here. And so twisting is another movement where, again, there's this rinsing, there's this wringing out. We go upside down, it flushes the lymphatic system, and then we kind of rinse out, right? We start to release from the body, because when we get into a stress response, we create cortisol, we run adrenaline, right? These are our hormones that are very important, again, for survival, but too much creates imbalance. So that upside down, we flush the nervous system, and then we bring it out, right? And then we come back to the breath. Specifically, that long exhale. Twists also support our digestion. They are very clarifying. So if we're tired, they kind of balance us out. If we're anxious, they calm us down. But if there's any, if it doesn't feel good or you want to come out of it, you can always come into a child's pose. Or as I said, if you want to come into some spinal movement, stretching. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. Slow exhales. And if your mind, as it does, sometimes when the body gets quiet, the mind is like, well, now that I have you here, here's all the things you are doing wrong or all the things you need to do today or for the next, month. And we just acknowledge it and we bring it back. And we come back to that intention. I am safe. I am supported. I am healing. I am calm and present, right? Whatever the opposite of the fear or the threat. The fear or threat now says you're lazy and you're not going to get anything done. It's like, I am worthy of rest, right? And so you can change that sankalpa through the practice, because sometimes fear moves in layers, right? That first pose, it's a safety issue, and now we're feeling a little better, so now it's that next layer. Oh, you're this, you're that. And so when the body gets still, we notice what the mind is going on about, right? Some of us, we stay so busy all day, we don't have time to think about the thoughts. And then we get still and the thoughts get loud. And so we honor them and we counteract. You're lazy. You shouldn't be laying here like this. You should go do so. Well, I am worthy of resting. Thank you for your opinion. I am worthy of resting. And we repeat that as many times as we need to start to relax. We breathe it into the exhale. We all have fears. It's completely human. Some of those fears are, again, they're perceived. It doesn't matter. In yoga, your perception is real. Your truth is real. If it looks like a snake to you, it is a snake. And yet, we can still learn to create that pause so that our perception is as clear as possible in that moment. Some days it's a half a second pause, others it's a minute pause. But we don't get the pause without the practice, because we are resetting this primal, ancient nervous system response. Three more slow, deep breaths. And feel into that exhale. And when you finish that third exhale, you can start to come up. And again, some folks like to just go right to the other side. For others, maybe there's, like I said, a cat-cow or a down dog or any other kind of movement before you go to the other side. Listen to your body, your breath. Be mindful as you lengthen, eventually twist to the left side. Relax your eyes and your face, your head and your neck and your chest. Let the breath move up and down the spine, softening your belly. Let your legs get heavy, your hands and feet. These bodies that have to carry so much physically, mentally, emotionally, environmentally. And it's not even just our own fears, we take on the fears around us every time we go on social media or out into the world. Sometimes we'll be feeling perfectly good and then we go be around people and suddenly we're like, whoa, what's wrong? Right? And this practice is our tonic, it's our medicine. And we are so blessed, so privileged to have access to this pause and reset. My teacher, Judith Hanson Lassiter, who I referenced with the snake rope teaching, also used to say that if everybody in the world laid down for Shavasana every day, right, or like a restorative pose, we'd probably have a very different world. We could get everybody to put their legs up the wall for 10 minutes. But we can't, so we start with ourselves. And we try to temper that reaction and extend that pause before the reaction. And it's hard. If you spend all day doing yoga and meditation, it might be a little bit easier. But if you're spending the day driving and working and being around people and caregiving and, that pause time is not there. I definitely have days where like there is no pause, there is no filter, it is just reaction. And that's 20 plus years of practicing yoga and officially 20 years teaching yoga this month. And my pause is still not set. That's why I keep practicing. Spiritual maintenance is a daily thing in the same way that like, you wash the dishes today, that doesn't mean there won't be dishes tomorrow unless you don't eat. In the same way, we do restorative today, it doesn't mean that we won't need to do it tomorrow unless, again, you're not going to be around anyone else and you can just stay in your restorative space, right? So that daily reprieve, that daily practice. 3 more breaths. After that 3rd breath, again, you can make your way up. And I would like you to sort of intuitively move into something symmetrical. So that could be a child's pose. That could be a downward dog. That could be hanging in a rag doll or uttanasana, which you can always do over a chair or a bed. Not for too long, just for a minute or so. If you are going to do a child's pose, you can do it over the bolster or pillows. And you can either have your forehead down, or if you're turning your head to one side, you just want to make sure you turn it both ways. So whatever neutral position, symmetrical position, you can do a little bit of, all of it if you want. You can take a breath and down dog and then forward fold and then settle into a child's pose. Just giving ourselves, they said, a moment of centered, of symmetry, of bowing towards the earth. This is the grounding pose. As always, though, if none of these poses are comfortable, you can definitely do some movement. Deep breath in. And a sigh. We'll roll up and we'll shift into a Supta Baddha Konasana. So Supta Baddha Konasana in restorative is usually done at a 45-degree angle. So if you have one block, you put it on its middle position. If you have two blocks, the first is at the tower and then the middle position. And then you would place your bolster over that. You can also use like heavy books too, if you've got like thicker books, if you're working with pillows or blankets, but we're looking for about a 45-degree angle. You do want to have some kind of support for the head. And then we want to support the thighs because we're bringing soles of the feet together. So if you have another bolster, pillows, blankets, even towels are great. So you'll sit in front of the bolster and then or pillows, and we bring the soles of the feet together. So you want to make sure there's support underneath the thighs. So I have a couple throw pillows that I like to fold up for this. And then you want to roll back. And as you roll back, the head does come back. So the head is not sticking in front of the chest, right? The spine is settled, shoulders are back. And this should be symmetrical in terms of each side we feel balanced. You can put a little support under the arms. I usually like to have a blanket spread out so that my arms are resting on a warm, soft surface rather than, the cold floor, unless the cold floor feels good for you. It's like, a little cooler here today. It was only 90 instead of like 100 something, but I still prefer a warm surface. And then this can be a nice place for a light eye pillow. Because of this angle, sometimes a heavy eye pillow will fall off. So even just like a clean sock or a sleeve is really nice, covering the body. And the closer the heels are to the pelvis, the more we're going to get this hip opener. So even with the support, we're getting a great hip opener. Hips are connected to our emotions. So anytime we do bound angle, right, like we're helping to release those tense emotions in the hips and the pelvis, also really nice for the digestive organs and the reproductive organs, the knees, the hips. And then again, we're opening belly, we're opening the heart. This is a great position if you spend a lot of time at the desk or driving or sitting, right? We're opening up. So everything's open. This is a sort of a decompression of the body. So everything is open, everything is receptive and supported. And this is a pretty, basic restorative sequence. We go upside down, we get that flush, we get that quick shift into the nervous system, we rinse it out, we wring it out, we compress with something neutral, and then we open, we decompress, we surrender in this really beautiful shape of the body that really we only do in yoga. I could be wrong, of course, but I don't know any other traditions where we lay over pillows like this in these shapes. Uh, Maybe it's at the spa if you're getting a massage or something, if you go to but even then, stuff is happening. There is something about stillness. So let yourself find that stillness. Shift into your back body. Soften your jaw. Take a deep breath in, and as you do, you can give your hands and your feet a little squeeze, and then exhale, release. Sometimes that muscle release is good. We don't even know that we've been holding tension. And you can do that a few times, and you can bring it up into your legs, your arms, your chest, or just a little squeeze and release of the hands and feet. Let your jaw and your eyes relax. And then just again, notice if there is a fear moving through you or not. Maybe one of those affirmations from earlier is still relevant. And you can offer that again here, bringing your attention to your heart or your third eye, whatever feels more natural. And again, just repeating that affirmation. That simple, I am safe, I'm supported, I'm healing, or I'm worthy, I am worthy of rest, I'm valuable, I'm loved. Whatever it is, that is the most sort of pressing feeling today, what you really need to hear, whether you believe it or not, right? It doesn't matter. The brain is going to wire it. But we want to move past those limiting beliefs, those fear-based reactions. And that's what gives us the pause. If we inherently believe we're safe, we'll give ourselves that pause before we react to really determine if there's a threat. So let your back body settle into the earth, feeling the earth through your props. And our Mother Earth, she's got a reset too. It's always a reminder in Southern California when you feel one of those rolling quakes, right? She's got to stretch her spine too. Breathe into our bones, into the earth. Feel the back of the body sinking deeper. Feel the front of the body soft, open. Notice the temperature on your skin or the sensation of your clothes or props. Notice the sounds in the room, sounds around, all part of the practice. Let your tongue settle, maybe swallow, feel into any taste still in your mouth. Feel the breath at the nostrils, warm and cool, and notice any scent in the nose. The eyes are closed, and with the eyes closed, can you imagine yourself in this room at this time, safe and supported? Colors, the items around you. And feel into that space between the eyebrows. Just imagine a warm light of any color. Just a warm, soothing light at your eyebrows. Then it travels to the hollow of your throat. Just a warm, soothing light at the hollow of your throat. It settles into the center of the right shoulder, the center of your right elbow, and the center of the right wrist. And this warm, soothing light kisses the tip of your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger. The whole right arm relaxes, the tips of the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. That warm, soothing light comes back to the hollow of the throat before finding its way into the center of the left shoulder and into the left elbow and left wrist. You feel that warm, soothing light kiss the tip of the left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, the whole left arm and hand relaxing. So you feel the tips of the fingers, the wrist, elbow, shoulder. Back to that warm light, hollow of the throat, radiating down your arms, soothing, warm, relaxed. Warm light travels to the center of your chest, radiating through the center of your chest. It shines into the right side of the chest, and the left side of the chest, and the whole chest is filled with this soothing, warm light. This light moves into the solar plexus, filling the solar plexus and the organs that live here. And it moves into the pelvis just below the belly button, shimmering through the pelvis and the organs that live here. The warm light moves into the right hip, down into the right knee, the right ankle, and then it reaches out to touch the tips of the toes, the right big toe, second, third, fourth, and pinky toe. Whole right foot and leg relax. Warm light in the tips of the toes, ankle, knee, hip. Back into the pelvis. Warm and illuminating down the pelvis, the whole pelvic bowl. As the light moves into the left hip, left knee, left ankle, and then it reaches out to touch the tips of the toes, the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth, and pinky toe. Warm, relaxing light in the left foot and leg, from the toes to the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Back to the pelvis. The warm light touches the tailbone, and again, spreading through both legs, the tailbone, the low belly, the solar plexus, the center of the heart, the hollow of the throat, back to the third eye. And the warm light moves to the crown of the head, opening to receive even more light from the universe. Warm light moving from the crown down through the face, the head, the spine, the arms, the torso, the legs, your whole body filled with warm, soothing light. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, deeply resting, filled with light, warm, soothing light, whole body receiving, whole body restoring, and body being breathed by this warm, soothing light, letting go, whole body resting. your breath. Without changing anything, you just start to emphasize the exhale. So the inhale happens, but your attention is on the exhale. Just watch the exhale the way you'd watch waves at the beach or clouds in the sky. Breath can stay soft, or it might naturally deepen when attention goes to it. Yeah, no right or wrong. Just notice any emotions that are present without judging them or creating a story around them. Just notice the emotions that are here, and maybe there's nothing that stands out. Maybe you're just relaxed or sleeping, sleepy. Whatever emotions are here, can you feel back into your heart or your third eye and whatever feels more natural? One more time, bring yourself to affirmation or intention, sankalpa, that short positive statement that supports the belief you want, the belief that you want to be dominant in those moments of fear or real or perceived threat. And let it reverberate through you a few times. Sense that soothing, warm light filling your body, front and back and sides, head to toes. Feel the back of the body, front of the body, the right and the left, whole body. Notice the sensations on the skin from the temperature or the props or clothes. And again, observe any sounds or taste or smell. With eyes still closed, can you again see yourself in the room you're in? Finally, when we add a quality of gratitude, summon a sense of appreciation for taking this time to reset, to recover, restore, to cultivate that pause in our process between fear and threat, reaction and response. Start to deepen the breath. Maybe you bring movement back. Maybe you just begin to bend the knees or stretch out your legs. And head can shift side to side, or any little wiggles or stretches that feel good. Depending on how you are propped up, you might find it easier to come to one side or to roll forward. And there may be little movements in that process, little spinal movement or rocking. Take a little side bend from a seat. So the hip sits the bones down, right hand down, the left arm can be up or behind the back. Just open and close. Just take a couple breaths here. And then switching sides. Just listening to your body. Again, the movement is not required. You might just sit quietly with the breath. Take your time. Then again, maybe just a little cat-cow or circle one way and then the other. Roll your shoulders, the head side to side or right and left. Just 3 more breaths. And then when you're ready, you can gather your hands to your heart, or hand to heart, hand to belly. And we'll do a few hums. So the humming sound with the mouth closed is really tonifying for the vagus nerve. You can always do Om, or if there's another bija you like, or if you just want to listen, but we'll just do 3 hums when you're ready, or whatever sound you would prefer. Many blessings. Thank you for taking this time with me tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your day, your night, your week, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you next week. Yay.
Yes, yes. Hope to see you